Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a Protoss versus Zerg, an absolute banger of a game where we find ourselves on the map Gresven. Spotting right here in the top left hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss pieces from Germany, we have ShoWTime. His opponent in the opposite corner from Italy, playing with the red Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Reynor. Reynor versus ShoWTime. This particular game was played at HomeStory Cup 23. I was not casting this game. I was one of the commentators for the event. I wasn't actually casting this particular game. As a matter of fact, I was at the poker table and I was sort of looking at this game from a distance, glancing at the TV screen every once in a while. But this is certainly one of the very best games of the tournament, if not the best. So let's go ahead and have a close look at exactly what ended up going down between these two legends. ShoWTime, of course, very well known for his defensive playstyle. I know the German fans always like it when I, well, call out his nickname. His nickname is Die Mauer. Apparently my pronunciation is funny. His nickname is The Wall. I'm sure you're well familiar with his playstyle by now, though, because he basically just likes to defend, and then eventually overwhelm the opponent. The thing is, though, Reynor is a bit of a macro monster. Very difficult to face him in, well, a straight-up macro game. He's one of the absolute fastest players in the entire game already. I mean, Zerg players do have some inflated APM because of repeat delays and repeat raids and rapid fire and all the rest of it. But Reynor, yeah, definitely still... It's either him or Clem. Definitely still one of the absolute fastest players in all of StarCraft 2. When these guys get underway, there is so much multitasking that needs to be done, and as frustrating as this can sometimes be as a StarCraft 2 player, especially when you're a ladder hero like myself, it sometimes really does feel that you just don't have enough speed. I've been playing this game for 13 years, and I would definitely like to have more actions per minute, okay? I can peak at like an average of 350 actions per minute or so myself in like a half-hour plus long game. I feel like I'm pretty fast, okay? That's a lot of buttons a second. It's not fast enough. It is not fast enough. In StarCraft 2, generally speaking, faster is better, assuming you still maintain accuracy, right? So that's obviously one of the main problems you run into. Sure, you can try and be really fast, but if all of your actions are pointless, there's of course a lot of spam, by the way, in the 350, and the same can be said right here for Reynor and as well for ShoWTime. There's going to be a lot of spam for these players too, where they're just repeating buttons for no apparent reason at all. But yeah, speed is a very real thing in StarCraft 2, and it seems to be mostly like a natural thing. It really is kind of interesting. Like, some players are naturally faster than others when it comes to, like, pressing buttons. As silly as that sounds, some players are just simply quicker. And I wonder if that's, like, a natural limitation? I have no idea. Like, why can somebody like Reynor be, for example, significantly faster than Gumiho? Gumiho, probably the highest level player, who still is, you know, relatively low APM compared to the other guys. Like, he is still, you know, plenty fast, but definitely a little bit slower when it comes to some of the other terrain. Like, well, what exactly makes a difference? I don't know. Anyways, we'll see our oracles right now flying around the map. Do we have any adepts to go with it? Nah, the adepts over here are just hanging out over at the third base. ShoWTime giving the opponent the benefit of the doubt, and this I really don't like all too much so far. Taking a lot of damage on one of those oracles for really no apparent reason. So far, I mean, he killed a Zergling, he killed an Overlord, but that is not really what you're looking for. It is critical, though, for these oracles to stay around, right? It's really nice to kill drones, yes, but they have so much utility later on into the game. So, Zerg players like Reynor, they've been very fond of going for that Roach Ravager Lingbane. Now, this is nice, okay? Getting 2 drones. Probably could have tried to get another one, but ShoWTime being a very conservative man here, they're very good at that Roach Ravager Lingbane army, and there's one unit, or one thing rather, that those 4 Zerg units have in common, and that is that none of them can shoot up. So it can be kind of difficult for the Zerg player to deal with oracles, and that's one of the reasons why usually we see those oracles being incredibly helpful as well in the middle stage of the game. Besides, of course, the revelations and the scouting and all the rest of it. Reynor going for a big round of links here. We should see some reinforcements, I suppose. Yeah, we're going to warp in a unit behind it. Oracles are going to be coming back home. Apparently, one of them was very deep in the HP count right there. Only 2 health remaining, but at the very least, as long as it's above 0, I guess 1 or greater, everything is a-okay. So, in the end, 2 drones, 8 Zerglings, not really that flying of a start right here for ShoWTime, but does it really matter all that much? Probably not, because he opened up with a really nice and greedy 3rd Nexus, but of course, more drone kills would be better. The follow-up right here from ShoWTime, an interesting one. He's decided to go straight into the Templar archives here. So the Templar Archives is fantastic, of course, when it comes to researching Storm and all that, but the High Templar can also be morphed into Archons, and Archons are really nice for that, well, harassment. One problem you can run into, however, here as a Protoss player is that the opponent could be going for a Spire. Spire against Oracle openers is not super popular right now, but it definitely is one of the Zerg options. Here we go, though. This is the first time that Reynor sees what he's playing against. Big warp in over here as well. Charge is already finished for the Protoss player from Germany, and this is actually going to hit like a truck. It's not even really meant to win the game or anything. It's only 6 gateways here, but this is putting a lot of pressure here on Reynor, who happens to have the correct drone count. I think if Reynor was droning all the way up to like 90 workers, which a lot of Zerg players would love to do at this point, he would be in a world of trouble. But ShoWTime forcing his opponent right there to make a lot of units. So far, so good, though. Hive already coming up, by the way, here for Reynor. So, 7 minutes into this game, both players just happy to play a heavy macro game. Robotics Bay, done inside of the main base of ShoWTime. So that's going to be the ultimate robotics tech. We immediately see a Disruptor queued up right there on the production tab. Hydra Den, of course, is down here as well. I'm assuming that is going to be for a Lurker Den transition. So Reynor is going to be able to, relatively easily deal with those late-game run-bys. Because ShoWTime is very good with them. He's very annoying with them. And having a couple Lurkers in the right place at the right time can make all the difference. Okay. Nice splitting of the army here so far. 4th Nexus, by the way, has been fired up as well. Reynor trying to deal with that prism while also simultaneously dealing with this army. But it's a bit tricky, right? The creep spread has been pushed back. Oracles here on the right side of the map still alive as well. Okay, we've got a couple Overlords that now need to fly away. Luckily here for Reynor, he does have the Nematized Carapace upgrade. There's the Lurker Den finishing up, and I'm assuming as soon as the Hive finishes, we're gonna go straight into a few Vipers as well. So, Vipers, of course, in particular in this matchup, they use that abduction ability. Yep, there we go. Reynor knows that his opponent has got a very good chance at producing some of those late game units, right? And honestly, all of the late game Protoss units are susceptible to abduct, so be it Colossus, be it Disruptors, even Archons, but of course Carriers, Tempest, all the rest of it, you name it, all of those late game units. The Viper is amazing against it. Okay. It's important right now that Reynor does not get too caught off guard, because Disruptors off creep, they can be a little bit... Ooh. They can be a little bit dangerous. Getting back to the safety of the creep right there. Is he gonna be able to get that? This is what I mean, man. These guys can be on a razor's edge the entire time. Like, that was just, I don't know, a 1/10 of a second away from being an absolute disaster. So this was, of course, played over in Germany. Both players were there at the venue playing against one another, so there's no ping or anything like that for these, well, maybe a little bit of ping for these games. Oracles do lose their usefulness right around this time. I mean, it's still nice to keep them around, of course. The utility is not to be underestimated, but we never really got to a point in this particular game where Zerg was going into heavy Ling Bane styles, and not really that many Ravagers either. Okay. He's still trying to hunt him down. Nice pickup right there, though, by ShoWTime with the Prism. We got an accidental abduction right there on, I think, what was a Zealot. Not really what you're looking for. A lot of big targets here to hit, but the Archon Immortal count is growing. Seismic Spines is a critical upgrade for Reynor. He's already queued up the Adaptive Talons as well. That's going to be very helpful against this army, but it's not like Immortals and Archons are bad against Lurkers necessarily either, especially when... yeah, they're in small numbers. This is actually a really strong, powerful attack right here by ShoWTime. I wouldn't mind seeing him fire up maybe a Skytles transition here. That's usually where we go from this location. Okay, good abduction right there on that Prism, but that did come at the cost of a pretty significant chunk of the Zerg army too. Reynor really wants to be able to morph in a couple Lurkers here, but he's not really been given the time. There's the Fleet Beacon, there's the additional Stargate, +1 flyer upgrades coming up, or +1 air weapons right here coming up for ShoWTime as well. It almost feels like we skipped the early game, we skipped most of the mid game, and we're going straight towards the late game. Okay. Both players, of course, did test the waters. Feels like the first 10 minutes of this game have flown by. Am I crazy? I feel like I've been casting this game for like 5 minutes, but we're already at the 10-minute mark. Alright, fair enough. Okay, Archon. Getting abducted as well as that Disruptor. Really nicely done right there by Reynor. Getting some good trades in. Yeah, you can see that the cost efficiency here from the Zerg is fantastic. Double Spire in the main base. Nidus Network in the natural. +3 already coming up. We have a second Evolution Chamber. Researching 2 here for the Zerg. Reynor is now rich. He's got basically all of the things that he wants to produce here, and he's just gonna get all of them all at the same time. I actually would prefer seeing Reynor at just a few more drones though. So 77 workers is nice, but if we're planning on making, like, this is very obviously gonna go into a SkyTools transition here from the Protoss, right? Unless we're planning on going for an attack very soon, which doesn't really make a lot of sense if you have double Spire coming up. I think having more drones available for mining so you can make a lot more Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers later on is super helpful. Reynor apparently, though, disagreeing for the time being. He does add on a few drones once again, and now we have the Lurker explosion. 15 Lurkers are coming up all at once. If you make this many Lurkers, it doesn't leave a lot of supply for, well, the rest of your army. Carriers on the production tab. We've been seeing guys like, for example, Harstem being very fond of going for Tempest first, but apparently ShoWTime, yeah, not that guy. Not going into the Tempest, just going straight into the carrier production. Nidus Worm inside of the main base. This is dangerous. If we get Lurkers on the ramp, if we can get those 15 Lurkers or so that are available on the ramp, okay, maybe 10 or so Lurkers inside of the main base, that can be an absolute disaster. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get it. Nah, he sneaks out just a singular one. At the same time, we have drones going down over here that Zealot warping in the main base still being a nuisance, but Reynor has cleaned that one up. In the meantime, ShoWTime also's got an attack here on the right side of the map. Secondary Nidus Worm in the main base. We still have a Lurker there being obnoxious. Lurkers here at the front as well. Good storms right there though by ShoWTime, pushing back those units here for now. Reynor only had 58 workers here. Lurkers from the low ground do kill the Nexus, but only 58 drones here for the Zerg versus 75 workers for ShoWTime. ShoWTime probably wants to start thinking about making another base here momentarily, but Reynor is going for a slow push. I thought he was ready to go for like a late game transition, but that's not really what he's trying to get done. He's making the Spires here just in case he needs them. Apparently one of them got sniped as well, but he is not really planning on letting the game go on for that much longer. We do have some really nice storms though. We need detection. We need detection. Where's the detection? Oracle! Revelation does eventually drop there, but God, that was a little bit late. 17 additional probes end up falling. Reynor's been droning on the back of this. He goes for a second Spire. Maybe a third Spire would be a better name for that, Lowko. Anyways, he goes for another Spire here, as ShoWTime is happily adding on more and more of his heavy hitters. Nidus Worm in the back of the natural expansion right now, super annoying. He's forced to warp in so many Zealots, not really a unit you necessarily want to have right now, and, well, he doesn't even really need to commit with this particular worm, but you know what? A couple Lurkers, a little annoying, push at the front, bada bing, bada boom. It's scary, man. Oh, he tried going back. Yeah, he tried going back home with the worm as well, but not quite fast enough in that department. You can see that both players have really picked up the pace right now, though, with the average actions per minute right there in the top left-hand corner. Both players starting to step on the gas. Oracle still being helpful. Yeah, would have been nice to have that second Oracle available, I suppose, but not the end of the world. Okay, so where exactly are we at? Roach, Hydra, Lurker, Queen, together with like a club of Vipers, or I guess a swarm of Vipers and Corruptors. These units are scary. Abduction? Barely not getting it. We're really not gonna need to see a bunch more High Templar, I think. There are a few High Templar in the mix. Storm is nice, but honestly, I would say that feedback might be even better. A Mama ship is also not to be underestimated in these scenarios, especially if you can control it well. It is one of those units that does need a separate control group. Okay, this is really good right here, though, for Reynor. Okay, gets two. No, just gets a singular one. We do have one High Templar coming in from the left as well. How many Corruptors just died? Just a single one, actually, in total in this game. Nidus Worm in the main base. Lurker here is now floating in the water, as apparently the Zealots slew it. Okay. Archon count is significant, though, here. Yeah, he's trying to bait them into the Lurkers. Not gonna happen for now. It's important for Reynor not to get carried away right here with the Corruptor numbers either, right? Because it's not like Protoss actually has that many flying units remaining. Only 4 carriers here in total. Zealots do get cleaned up. Zealots over here in the meantime already marching all the way down south. Quite a few Spine Crawlers available. Another Nidus Worm inside the main base. Okay. Oracle with its Revelation. Still helpful, man. There is a moment where you do have too many Archons, but apparently 10 is not quite that number yet. They are putting in so much work, right? So the Archons deal splash damage to clumped up units. And Corruptors need to be incredibly careful engaging this, because they would just get absolutely decimated by the Archons and the Storms. So this unit composition, while funky in a lot of regular games, especially against, well, for example, Brute Lords, right? They wouldn't really achieve that much. In this particular instance, ShoWTime is showing us that this bulldozer of an army is very powerful. Now, he can't really push into sieged up lurkers. So those lurkers are gonna, yeah, make it difficult to continue the aggression, but he's now successfully contained his opponent on really only a few bases. Carrier production once again starts back up. There is a Nidus Worm here. Yeah, I was gonna say, that is gonna be a difficult base to acquire for our Protoss. He may very well be thinking about going for the one here up north. ShoWTime going into the +2 upgrade here. So +2 does make those carriers significantly more powerful. Very important upgrade for those interceptors. Okay, storm from the low ground. Okay, getting 5 drones, not bad. A lot of lurkers now. There's the Greater Spire starting up as well for Reynor, yeah. I think that's a right call. Feels a bit funky to go both lurkers as well as Brute Lords, but I think in this case it's actually not a bad call. Lurkers can be used in the Nidus Worms and to deal with those Zealot run-bys. Usually they're grouped up together with Zerglings and maybe some Banelings as well if he decides to go in that direction. And then the Brute Lords are really good at fighting the main army. I mean, the Lurkers are theoretically as well. It's just that Protoss usually isn't gonna walk into the spines. Okay, well, I mean, I say usually. Not necessarily always. There's another abduction. Carrier is gonna get 2-shot. Okay. Nicely done right here by Reynor, but he needs to be careful. Blinding Cloud's actually shutting down a bunch of those Archons, forcing them to move forward. What an engagement right here by ShoWTime, though. Wow, I didn't think he was gonna walk into all of those spines, but he does end up cleaning up the majority of all of those lurkers. Corruptors can't really engage. They did abduct the Vipers, that is. They did get rid of a few more of those carriers up in the air, but the Archon numbers here are through the roof. Hydras and Roaches, yeah, a classic unit composition for Zerg. There was an attack as well attempted here by Reynor on the left side of the map. I think just Roaches and Hydras are gonna do a fantastic job against this unit comp. We have once again those Archons backing up, trying to create almost like a surround around his own carriers here to prevent those Corruptors from engaging. ShoWTime, man. So good at the game. A lot of people have got a lot of hype riding right now on, for example, max specs, right? Hero gets a lot of credit. Classic has been looking good. Creator's been looking strong, but ShoWTime, solid as a rock for many, many years, and certainly not getting any weaker. Maybe not necessarily the favorite going into any tournament, but certainly a guy you can expect in the top 4 or the top 8 of the vast majority of the tournaments that he plays. Showing us that he is, yeah, one of the very best from the European region. Now, this might actually be a bit of an overextension right now, though. Yeah, the Roaches and Hydras are scary. Nice split right there on the Corruptors, trying to negate as much of that splash damage as possible. I think ShoWTime should have gone home. Yeah, he ends up losing to all of those Zerg reinforcements. Reynor did end up losing a lot of bases, a lot of economy as well. As far as the worker count goes, they're actually dead even at this point, which is kind of funny. But now, yeah, there's a chance that Reynor is going to go in for a counter-attack. ShoWTime at 133 supply, Reynor at 167. Okay. Okay. Hydra Corruptor, the greatest unit composition of them all. Lurkers coming up. Nidus Worm in the bottom left-hand corner attempted. Reynor knows that this base is an important one for ShoWTime, but, well, ShoWTime also knows that this is an important base right here for Reynor. With +3 Zealots, yeah, they don't mess around. He kills a couple drones, goes after the hatchery. Nothing the Zerg can really do about it. Gonna recall those Zealots on out of there. They're gonna be helpful another moment later. And this army over here, well, it's a single Lurker and a couple Nidus Worms. It is also gonna get cleaned up. Lovely work right here by ShoWTime. Lurkers here, though, at the front. Now, this is one of those positions that's so difficult to break. It's a bit of a funny position, too. Do we get an abduction here? We do get an abduction. Keep in mind that, Vipers do get outranged by by the High Templar, rather. So, a lot of these abductions, they really shouldn't be happening if ShoWTime is positioning all of his High Templar perfectly. Now, I understand, though, with the unit movement speed, that is incredibly hard to do. But many of these abductions could have been prevented. At the same time, we do have a bunch of those observers going down, but the Archon Immortal army here is very, very scary. Lurkers once again are going to set up shop over here. We've got loads of High Templar in the back with Storm Energy. In the meantime, the Lurkers on the other side of the map are going to town as well. Corruptors just trying to use their caustic spray ability on whatever they can, and they're dealing a tremendous amount of damage. Very annoying to have to deal with. Reynor's going to start, I think, bringing those Lurkers back home here, using the Nidus Worm as a medium to go back. He's already forced ShoWTime to go around the map. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. There you go. Normally we see it used offensively, but that's another way. Can be very helpful. Oh, no, no, no. The Templar, the Templar, the Templar. Hello, hello. My god, they're just on a little stroll right now. That could have been an absolute disaster. Okay, now, ShoWTime, you're starting to fall apart a little bit, my man. Time to focus back up. I noticed at first when he started, not protecting that carrier, right? That carrier, it got abducted a bunch of times when it really didn't need to be abducted. Now the High Templar going on a stroll didn't really get punished for that, but losing an Immortal like that for free is not ideal. Okay, Brute Lord transition right now from Reynor. Yeah, there's no unit in this unit composition right here for ShoWTime that's actually good against Brute Lords. Even just against, like, 8 Brute Lords, there's really not much that Protoss has. So that's gonna probably focus his attention once again on Skytle's units, but he doesn't really have that much money at this point in the game. His army, though, is absolutely massive. He's also a little bit behind, actually, in upgrades. Corruptors, once again, with their caustic spray ability, just going after whatever they can. Love to see it. Reynor's still making use of every little bit of army that he's got. Now, look at this, though. Lurkers and Brute Lords together. How in the world are you ever going to break that as a Protoss player? I just don't see it. This is a very zealot-heavy army. 42 zealots. They need to find an angle where they can actually be helpful. Tempest does get started here as well by ShoWTime. I like that, but the amount... Oh my god, no, 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 no. The amount of... Well, drones he's gonna get is nice here, I suppose, but the amount of siege units here for the Zerg, right? Those Brute Lords and those Lurkers combined. Incredibly difficult to break. Second set of caustic sprays on that exact same base. Well, exact same location anyways of that Nexus, and he does get another kill. Overseer going into the main base, maybe thinking about going for a Nidus Worm in this area, but the Tempest, if it has any say in the matter, it will finish the job. Okay, Reynor looks incredibly oppressive here. Lurkers now being used as well to clean up those Zealot run-bys. Reynor all over that too. Here's the fight in the middle though. Only 4 Brute Lords actually. I wouldn't mind seeing like 8 more. I wouldn't mind seeing him go all the way up to, well, literally all of these Corruptors into Brutes and then maybe make some additional Corruptors for reinforcing. Anyways, Lurkers here. Yeah, lining up your Zealots is like lining up your drones against Hellions, dude. It's not really what you want to do. A lot of dead Zealots. We had like 42 of them earlier. Only 15 of them remain. Nice little storm here, though, trying to soften up as many of those units as possible. Looks like another Nexus was destroyed right here by the Corruptors. This is actually starting to be a major issue. Okay, there's a good abduction again as well, but beautiful storms right there by ShoWTime, trying his very best to push back these Zerg units. Okay, there's that Oracle from the early game. Finally getting removed out of the equation. These Corruptors must have been responsible. Yeah, 6 Nexi have gone down in this game. A couple of them that were building also got cancelled, right? So they must have been responsible for at least half of those kills. Probably more than that. Double expand right now from ShoWTime as he finally commits a few Stalkers to defending this location on the map. Blink starts up. A little bit late on the blink, of course, but that's not really too surprising. Changelings here do spot and give vision here for that Nidus Worm. Fantastic game of StarCraft 2 so far. It seems to me that Reynor has got a lead here. He definitely seems to be in a more comfortable position, but ShoWTime is not giving this one up easily. ShoWTime still with a big worker lead, right? So 68 workers versus 48. Now this is what Reynor was looking for ages ago. And with ages ago, I mean like 10 minutes ago. Okay, now with the Revelation there and the Tempest, apparently that's enough for those units to go back home once again. If ShoWTime can get all of his workers to a mineral line, that would be amazing. There's a lot of long distance mining going on right now, oversaturating on many of those bases that are mining. But Reynor doesn't really have that much money here. Trying to just, yeah, mine out one of his own bases here too. 24 out of 16. Only 48 workers in total. Both players are starting to run out of cash. I think ShoWTime in that department though has got a little bit of an advantage just because he's got more bases that aren't mined yet. Okay, now this is a good engagement here. Yeah, this is catching the Protoss player off guard. Once those lurkers get into a position like this, how in the world do you break it? I'm actually surprised Reynor's not finishing it off. Probably afraid of the Protoss counterattack here, and I think that is correct. Roaches are going to be tasked with finishing the job, but okay. Reynor gives his opponent the benefit of the doubt. Blink is available at this point. You can get very easily underneath just 4 Brute Lords, but yeah, with a bunch of those lurkers and lings underground, nothing much is going to happen. Kill right there on the misplaced hatchery. Roaches here, trying to see if they can potentially finish the job. Nexus still lives. Good storm over there, but also hurting a lot of his own zealots. Unlike Co-op, he does not actually replenish shields when he storms his own units. Okay, ShoWTime storm. Boom. Okay, we do need some detection, but nicely done. Oracle once again shows up. Lings over here. I mean, excellent work right here by ShoWTime, man. Felt like he was up with his back against the wall, or at least Reynor was starting to create a choke on him, but looks like ShoWTime has managed to wiggle his way out of here. He's got to be so careful, though. Don't overextend with these units. These are very expensive. Reinforcing zealots do show up, but those lurkers here are putting in so much work. Okay, now in the end, that is a good trade right here for sure for our Zerg player. This now also opens the opportunity here for that Nexus to finally fall. That's what Reynor has been hunting for a few minutes. Reinforcing Protoss units, though, do show up. Can he kill the Nexus? He doesn't really want to take the trade here. Okay, the rest of the Protoss army is also gonna show up here. Lurker Spines trying to see if they can potentially kill the Nexus. 30 health remaining on that structure, but as long as it's above 1, that's all that ShoWTime really matters about. Or really cares about, rather. Another hatchery attempt here, up north. Reynor running out of money. Long distance mining another base. He's never really had a lot of economy in this game. This is not one of those cases where Zerg has been sitting on 80 plus workers for the majority of it and they can remax easy peasy. So matter of fact, ShoWTime starting to pull ahead. Fires up the +3 air weapons as well. Okay, he might just be able to fight this, to be honest. A lot of supply here from the Zerg is caught up in Corruptors, which, as we've seen, they are nice. They make it difficult for Protoss to really create additional carriers and Tempests and all that, but you do have to respect them. The Protoss army, that is. If you have too much supply caught up in flying units that don't actually participate in the battles, you may be better off morphing at least a few more of them into Brute Lords. Okay, ShoWTime attempting to break through that position down south, not gonna happen. Revelation over here would be real nice to get rid of the creep tumors. Instead, he's gonna try and push over here at the front once again. Nice blink forward right here up north by ShoWTime, going after the Corruptors. Looks like we had a big warp in the main base too, as the Zealots here are finding themselves in a good spot, trying to see if they can go after the Greater Spire. One Zealot is still working on it. Okay, he's not gonna get it, but that Spire is probably not gonna live for too much longer. Drop a Lord coming up here for Reynor, but yeah, Protoss is starting to break through this position right now. ShoWTime grabbing a very significant supply lead. Aggressive gameplay right here by the Mauer, but showing us that he is formidable in these macro games, man. I'm actually so impressed right here by ShoWTime. I mean, we all know that Reynor's very good in the late game. We all know that ShoWTime can do it too, but ShoWTime is actually outplaying Reynor here. 634 APM or not, ShoWTime is going toe-to-toe. He's now killed that Greater Spire from earlier too, so no more Brute Lords now available right here for the Italian Stallion. Okay. He's pushing forward. He's pushing forward. He's trying to create a choke right now on the natural expansion. A lot of the Zerg's tech is gone. Nidus Worm is gone. We've already seen a kill as well on a bunch more structures, and Hydra Den here is not going to be too far behind. Natural Hatchery, not that important anymore, but at least it's now also gone. Brute Lords, though, are showing up. That's those 4 Bruters from earlier. He could blink in. He does blink in. Storm goes down as well. There are a few Lurkers and Zorklings available, however, and ShoWTime is gonna be forced to retreat. Couple Zealots up north. Lurkers here, burrowed underground. Man, high-level StarCraft, this game is beautiful. Seriously. Skill level, after 13 years, still rising. Look at these games. Like, seriously, they have been everywhere. I want to say that 99.9% of people watching this video, myself included, would have died by minus 5. They've been trying their absolute hardest to end this game. Like, it's not like they're playing the game for they're not playing for our enjoyment, okay? They are trying their very hardest to obtain the victory and get this game over with, but neither of them is willing to buckle here. Okay, so ShoWTime trying to go into the main base. This is the last, well, tech right here of the Zerg. And this is actually a big problem. Lurkers are coming in. Keep in mind, though, Protoss can recall. As long as he's got a bunch of, yeah, Templar here to slow down the advancement of the Zerg, I actually really do like this. Revelation might be needed, though. There's one Lurker here inside of the main base. Is he going to go after the Hive? I don't know if he can really afford it. Once again, we do have another one of those storms going down, but okay, maybe this wasn't quite ideal. At the same time, though, we have Corruptors once again puking wherever they can. Look at them going after 2 Nexi. That's a base going down. I think that base is not going to be too far behind. Arkles here in the middle of the map as well. Roaches, Ravagers, Lings, whatever we can muster here. Those Lurkers are putting in so much work. Not a unit we've historically seen a lot against Protoss, but my god, is he getting a lot of value out of it. ShoWTime, by the way, in the meantime, has taken one of the bases that's normally considered to be one of the Zergs. Reynor has got a new base up mining here in the top section of the map. Looks like the 2 Nexi over here did fall, but ShoWTime has immediately reproduced them. New Hydrodyne coming up. Spawning Pool 2.0 also coming up as, well, the Hive is now in a little bit of trouble. Is there enough? Okay, we're going to start juggling some of these units. I think it might be time for us to get out. I don't know if it's going to be possible anymore, though. Is there enough for Protoss to hold on? I don't think so. Zerg is going to be able to clean this up. Maybe? Actually, I don't think so. Nah, there's no way that that Roach is going to win. Man, they're playing mini-games right now. They're doing side quests. There's another Corruptor, Caustic Spray. It's an ability that does have a relatively long cooldown, so he's going to have to get on out of there. Reynor, though, building up the Hydra count once again. That base up north has been absolutely critical for him. And the amount of Nexi that he sniped is not to be underestimated. He's now up to 8 bases that have been killed. Yes, the same can be said for Zerg, but for Zerg bases, it's a little easier to rebuild. Usually, they're not covered with static defense, and, well, ShoWTime has been trying his best to hold on to all of these bases of his. But so much long-distance mining in this game so far. Okay, here we go again. Yeah, it's actually a relatively even game right now, despite the worker counts as far as the income goes. Caustic Spray here, together with Hydra's Lurkers, 1 Brute Lord, because we are just using whatever we've got. Protoss coming in for a flank right now, trying to create a surround on this army. Good storm right there, but we do need detection. Is there any detection right here? Those Lurkers are dealing so much damage, he doesn't see them. He needs some sort of detection. He's trying his very best to get rid of all of these units. A lot of them took damage from the splash. Okay, ShoWTime does disengage right there in the end. Man, if he had an Observer there or an Oracle with Revelation, I think maybe initially you could see some of them, because many of the Lurkers did die. Corruptors are already up to their next task once again as they're Caustic Spraying down another Nexus, but reinforcing Stalkers are gonna prevent that from happening. That was a good engagement right there for Reynor in the end. Yep, ShoWTime ended up losing a lot more supply there. If you look right here at the army size over time, you can see that Reynor has been, yeah, in a bit of a shaky position, but that engagement just now, absolutely tremendous for the Italian. Man, all he needed was detection there, though. I think he would have finished off those Lurkers. It would have looked entirely different. Can we have a look right here at the resources lost as well? Slight advantage for the Zerg. And that is just that micro and that speed. Generally speaking, in these sort of situations, it's Protoss who is ahead when it comes to the cost efficiency. But those Corruptors have put in so much work. I actually think they may have very well... Well, they must have killed. Yeah, they must have killed about that difference in minerals, right? Like, they have actually killed a ton of stuff in Nexi. Just in structures in general. A bunch of tech as well. One problem right here for ShoWTime that I don't really like either is the fact that he's never really committed to the armor upgrades in the Forge. Now, I understand that we've been under pressure the entire game long, but I really wonder if he could have gotten maybe a couple more of those armor upgrades. Maybe the +3 shields, it would have been amazing. Because obviously Reynor here has been at +3. I mean, he hasn't actually afforded the +3 armor yet, but his units are packing a punch. Okay, we're gonna go after whatever we can get right now with these Corruptors. Protoss once again, moving forward. It's important for ShoWTime that he doesn't put too much value here on that main base. The tech of Zerg is now actually over here, up in the northern section. We have a bunch of zealots here charging forward, but lurkers are securing that base. Expansion in the middle of the map here. Well, it's mined out. It doesn't really matter, but it is going to get killed. Okay, Brute Lord here. That one Brute Lord from earlier, it is going to get killed, it looks like. Oh no, what? It lives. 5 HP remaining. Reynor on top of all of that too. A few more of the gateways have gone down. This hatchery over here, I mean, it was only protected with a couple of lurkers, but now there's Zerglings coming in too, and they're forcing this Protoss army to separate. These Zerglings don't have amazing upgrades, but they're still packing a punch. Yeah, this is not the correct unit composition to be playing against this sort of thing. ShoWTime now once again moving forward as well on the right side. Some static defense here is what Protoss is falling back to here. Lurkers, though, at the front are going to be difficult to break. An amazing game of StarCraft. Honestly, this may be the game of the year. It's been like a month or two, okay, since I last titled the video game of the year. I did not have a close look at this particular game while sitting at the poker table, but I am so glad I'm casting this. What an absolute banger. Okay. 11 additional drones have gone down. This is really the only mining here for the Zerg, as, well, this expansion has been in a lot of trouble for a while now. ShoWTime's sort of stuck here up north, though. I don't know if I like this position for him all too much. It's not really that important of a spot, although the tech here is nice to get, of course. The Hydro Den and the Lurker Den are pricey. Recall here towards the bottom section, and... okay, that at the very least is, well, it's nice. It's gonna be saved. I'm a little afraid that this Protoss army over here is now stuck, though. ShoWTime, can we please group everything back together? Because this makes me a little nervous. Obviously, recall is now not available anymore. Corruptor in the main base. All of those gateways, by the way, or at least a majority of them, are now gone. High Templar, okay, leading the charge. He does need high ground vision here to see those lurkers, but he's got observers now in the mix. Okay, Protoss army is going to group up back together. Reynor going in for his signature move as he is ready to run in some Lings once again. The Lings do... have Adrenal Glands, yeah. So Adrenal Glands gives them about 40% attack speed. Absolutely massive upgrade. Even with just +1 melee, it's noticeable how much damage these dudes are dealing. Especially because there's no armor upgrade on these Protoss units, right? But anyways, I really feel like that would be an amazing addition here for ShoWTime. Or it would have been an amazing addition for ShoWTime like 20 minutes ago. Right now is maybe not the time for that anymore. ShoWTime finishing up the third base of Reynor. That base was taken, well, a half hour ago. More than half an hour ago at this point. He's just fishing for scraps here, right? Just trying to get whatever he can, well, muster. Any resource right now is critical. Reynor has now secured this base up north, though. Same for the base down south. ShoWTime has got that one under his control. Solid advantage right now as far as the supply count goes here for ShoWTime, but he needs to be so careful. We've already seen this before once, where, well, those engagements, yeah, you can see that ShoWTime is starting to outgrow the army size here of Reynor, but those engagements have to be on point. We cannot afford another disaster like that previous one. Okay. So, how much do they actually have? Really not that much. This army here from Zerg is mostly lurkers. Protoss still marching around. I actually don't think he should be here anymore. Maybe send like 5 zealots into the main base to finish off these structures, but call it a day there. I really don't think that's super important anymore. Reynor thought about going for an attack himself, but he now sees this Protoss army coming in. We may see our third Hydra Den falling here if ShoWTime has any say in the matter. One lurker getting caught before the engagement starts. Good start right there for ShoWTime. He backs off once again. He needs detection though, right? Keep in mind that those observers are critical here. We do not have another way to detect those lurkers. Spore Crawlers are, of course, going to prioritize any flying unit. And, okay, there's an Oracle here. That Oracle is actually super nice. There's a Revelation. Okay, that's going to reveal these Zerg units for 15 seconds. ShoWTime, though, decides to go after the rocks. Fair enough. That does mean that the Zealot cooldown is now, well, they're not going to be able to charge for another few seconds, but it's going to be available once again. Probes pulled away. ShoWTime now maxed out. 200 supply versus 118. It's a unit composition, though, that's mostly just Archons. A whole lot of Zealots, some High Templar, few Immortals, but it's really just a whole lot of Archons. Yeah, don't engage into a funnel like that. That would be a disaster. 14 probes have gone down. They're now going to be replaced with 2 carriers. Okay. Corruptor goes down. Okay, this is the angle. This is the angle where ShoWTime wanted to engage. He ends up killing that hatchery in just a matter of seconds, loses a few of his zealots in the process. Now there's Lings, though, inside of the main base. Reinforcing zealots are being warped in over there, but ShoWTime can't warp in that much, because he's currently maxed out, which is a weird problem to have. Looks like he can warp in just barely enough here to get rid of some of those Lings. It's important not to be completely maxed out with one big ball of units, because then these run-bys are going to be lethal. Excellent movement here by ShoWTime. Really lovely work. The lurker count, though, is massive. If he can get rid of those corruptors, then the carriers can be the stars of this Protoss army. So I don't mind him trying to hunt all of those units down. Essentially, the entire map, though, is now mined out. Okay. Carriers do get spotted. No Nidus worms. I mean, he doesn't have it anyways, but just making sure that that Overseer is not gonna get more information that it needs. Another spawning pool and another Hydra then have gone down. Reynor is up with his back against the wall. Amazing game right here by ShoWTime. Reynor's moving forward, though, trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat right now. The observers are so important. We have only a single observer. It's flying incredibly far forward. Please don't lose the observer. Okay, he does micro it back right there. Cleans up the majority of the lurkers here as well. The rest of the army here from a Reynor is gonna go back. He needs to be careful. Don't walk into the freaking spines. It scares me, man. Please make another 5 observers, okay? So we have a little bit of wiggle room, because this can still be a disaster. Supply count at this point, though, is not deceiving us. Looks like the carriers here are in a little bit of trouble, because they're all by themselves. I don't really like that angle all too much. Protoss instead thinking about, okay, what is the win condition of a game of StarCraft 2? Well, it's to destroy all of your opponent's structures. So if you can destroy all of your opponent's structures, you win the game. How many structures does Zerg still have? Well, it's just a bunch of gas geysers, a few Evo chamber. Like, there's not a whole lot anymore. Reynor trying to engage the base race, but there's a lot more Terran, or sorry, a lot more Protoss structures around the map. Okay, ShoWTime making extremely sure that he is not being caught off guard. How many hatcheries remain? How many structures remain? Well, this is going to be the absolute last one. GG is called. And it's ShoWTime who obtains the victory in an amazing game of StarCraft 2. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video and you enjoyed it, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button. Thank you very much. For now, have an amazing rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.